Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Andy No, reporter we've spoken with before. He knows Antifa is not a myth, despite what Baron Sardonicus, Representative Jerry Nadler, said about Antifa. Just a myth created, by the right wing in Washington. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Andy No knows better because he was almost beaten to death by Antifa in Portland. He continues to cover the violent unrest, particularly in the Northwest and places like Portland and Seattle, but not limited there. And he also is on the watch for those fanning the flames of hatred and violence. One of those is a candidate for DuPage County Board here in Illinois. Her name is Hadiya Afzal. She is a Democrat candidate for DuPage County Board in the western burbs, and
where you used to live,
part of DuPage County that covers Wheaton, Glenelg, and Carroll Stream. Just remarkable. She won a competitive Democrat primary on March 17th, and now she could be a member of the DuPage County Board. Well, she tweeted out over the weekend.
I'll wait till you hear this, folks.
I've been watching this on repeat for 15 minutes and laughing every single time. What the watching this that she was referring to was the assault of a federal officer. Watching this on repeat and she posted the video. Watching this on repeat for 15 minutes and laughing every single time is what she tweeted. Well, that drew the attention of some, not necessarily the moribund Republican Party in this state or even in DuPage County, at least not initially, but others. And she subsequently issued this clarification after she made her Twitter account private. As a young activist, I made the decision to run for office in DuPage County Board to bring progressive policy changes for the community I grew up in and care deeply for. She's a DePaul student, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Early Sunday morning, I posted a personal tweet regarding the protests in Portland. My post was in poor taste and doesn't reflect the values I was raised with and hold dear.
Oh, okay. Can't walk that back, sister.
I do not support or condone violence in any form. I appreciate and support the role law enforcement plays in keeping our community safe. I sincerely apologize for the irresponsible tweet because I want to have a chance to win this seat on the DuPage County Board. That last part I added.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Conjecture
on your part. Yeah.
That's why she's apologizing.
And excuse, because I tried to look at it as well. Was it protests in Portland, Oregon, or was it in Seattle?
Portland.
It was in Portland. Okay. Well, 3 federal officers face permanent blindness in Portland after rioters would shine lasers in their eyes. And others have lost their hearing because they're throwing not fireworks, but M80s at federal officers. You get your little butt down there to Portland and see what it's like.
DuPage County, once the base camp for Republicans and conservatives, has now seen just about all of that go away. Not completely, but a lot of it. Really, it's a county at least at the federal level that leans Democrat based on the federal representation and the federal election results for president over the last 3 cycles. So I tweeted in response to this. Speaking of laugh lines, I'll look forward to the Illinois GOP's non-response. You can't offend anyone if you operate under self-imposed silence on anything not involving Madigan, right? Which is what the Illinois GOP has done for the last 2 decades, which is why they can now hold their organizational meetings in phone booths, or at least they could if phone booths still existed. Well,
no one from
that challenge was put out, and Jim Zay, who is the county GOP chairman in DuPage County, took the challenge, and he does have something to say, so we invited him on the show. Jim Zay, DuPage County GOP chairman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks, Dan and Amy.
Morning. So you know what Miss Afzal tweeted, and now you've heard, if you weren't already aware of it, her sort of apology that tweet doesn't represent her values. Well, then I don't know how it happened that she tweeted it, but anyway, how do you respond to both the tweet and the apology?
Well, I mean, first, if you look at the video, I'd be aghast. I mean, she said that, these people were, unarmed, unprovoked protesters. If you look at the video, you see 2 water bottles, get thrown. One hit a federal officer, one just missed one. So, I mean, it just shows that the left side here of the party in DuPage County, Democrats, are just not out for law enforcement. We just want to make it be known in DuPage County that DuPage Republicans stand for our local brave law enforcement.
Yeah, but
And then her apology falls short. It makes her to be the victim on this, and she can't take her words back at this point.
are you going to press her for more of a clarification on her apology?
Well, honestly, it looks like last night she has withdrawn from her nomination.
Oh, she did.
We got word late last night that she posted something on her website that she's going to withdraw, which still doesn't, we haven't heard anything from the Democratic leadership here in DuPage County. And that, again, shows that, I deal with them. I'm on the county board. I deal with them all the time. And, one of their first ideas when they got on the county board a year and a half ago was to get rid of the prayer at the meetings.
Right.
So
yeah, right.
we see what kind of left-dealing people, and, none of their leadership at all in the county has even responded to this tweet.
Well, yeah, right, and this is the other issue too. I mean, because the local press, the Chicago Land Press Corps, is not going to hold her to account here. So this is something that needs to be put to every Democrat, not just member of the county board, but every Democrat. Period. I saw that Jim Oberweis put a tweet out or a press release out because she's a former Lauren Underwood staffer. Of course she is. And so will Representative Underwood have anything to say about this tweet and about her apology and so forth? So this needs to be put to every Democrat in office and running for office, and not just within the corporate boundaries of Illinois. Everywhere we have an aspiring Ilhan Omar in Glen Ellen, and care to comment, right?
Right. I mean, right now our police are under attack everywhere, and any kind of physical attack on law enforcement should never be condoned, especially by public officials. And I just find it amazing that no one is standing up for law enforcement, not only here in Illinois, but anywhere where these protests are going on. And they're not protests. She said it was a protest here today. We know Saturday that they deemed that a riot at that point, as people are trying to break through, fences to get into the federal courthouse. That's not a peaceful protest. That's a riot at that point.
Well, at that point, it's been going on for 60 days, uninterrupted in Portland. I mean, yeah, there's no question. So what about, what about not letting her get away with just withdrawing her candidacy, and not letting the Democrats get away with that in particular, continuing to maintain her profile so that people have to be held to account? Which line do you stand? Do you stand on this where we cheer people injuring officers or injuring anybody for that matter? Or we are proponents of the rule of law? That seems like an obvious question, but it's no longer obvious in 2020 America.
No, it's not. And we've had discussions on the county board about a few months ago about pay raises for officers, and we have Democratic board members saying that our sheriff was tone deaf, even though these increases for our sheriffs were budget neutral. Didn't have any impact on their budget. They were moving things around and needed to pay some of these people, especially during the protests here in DuPage, where we had our sheriff running all over the county, the hot spots in Oak Brook and Naperville and Downers Grove, where looters were going, and for them to say that we're tone deaf at this point just shows that they don't support law enforcement here in DuPage County, and that the left side is just out for defunding police, and we just won't have that.
Well,
we got to remind people why they live in DuPage County and why they don't live in the city of Chicago.
Well, yeah.
We have great law enforcement, safe streets, safe schools, and unfortunately with what's going on in Chicago, I think last year over 50% of the felonies committed in DuPage County came from outside of DuPage County. That's an alarming number that people need to know that, these other policies around the county are affecting our ways of life.
People also need to know she won the primary fair and square. So this is a representative, a nominee of the Democrat Party in DuPage County in one of the allegedly used to be more conservative areas of DuPage County too. I mean, so people also need to know this is who your Democrat Party at the local and clearly at the federal level is. So when you read this story about Hadiya Afzal, you should think about Lauren Underwood. You should think about Sean Casten. You should think about all the state legislators in DuPage County and all the DuPage County Dem Socialist board members and all the Democrats generally. This is who they are. So you have a real choice, DuPage County residents. You have a real choice, Illinois residents. You have a real choice, American citizens. This is the choice.
Right. And if you looked at their endorsement of her, their endorsement from their DuPage Democratic chairman says it's critical that we have people who share our values on the DuPage County board.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
I mean,
Right.
that's something that that they're painting themselves as these Democrats that have these values. But what values do you want? Be careful what values that these people stand for.
Well, what
They don't stand for what people in DuPage move there and have lived there for a long time.
Well, what candidate? I'm sorry, I don't know about the DuPage District 4. Is it a Republican incumbent
Yeah,
or
Tim Elliott. He's a
Tim
good
Elliott.
guy.
Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott's a great candidate, father of 4, been in the community. Him and his wife have grown up in the community. He's a leader there, was on the Glen Ellen Village Board. He's been involved for many years, true conservative. Tim does a great job. He's our chairman of economic development at the county, and they have a clear choice here of who's going to be there and who will work for the people, and Tim will do that.
I mean, if she hasn't withdrawn, if she goes to November on the ballot, I mean, if Tim Elliott lost this race to her after these statements and everything we know about her now, I mean, look, you better run. You better run. Just leave the keys. Just get out DuPage. Get out of Illinois. I mean, that's in Wheaton, Carroll Stream, and Glen Ellen. The idea, you're going to have people that believe all kinds of things in every community. That's fine. The idea that you have somebody who is actually a threat to represent that community in office is a whole nother thing. And we've seen that play out in real time. I mean, Sean Casten essentially has the same position that she does, and he's a member of Congress out of DuPage County, for goodness sakes, a seat held by Henry Hyde and Peter Roscom. So, I'm glad you're speaking out, but boy, to me, it seems like there's still a lot of lethargy with respect to the threat level in DuPage and everywhere else in the metro area.
Yeah, and I agree. And I just took over as chairman the end of March, and that's part. I've been around for a while, and we really need to get the Republicans have forgot to talk about what they stand for, what we do in DuPage County, why DuPage County is a great place to live, safe streets, good law enforcement. And that's the things, we're just not talking. We forgot how to talk. We forgot how to campaign. And this is not going to be the way this election. I think our base is energized. We just have to get out there and get people out and remind them of what's going on and not let them, forget about these comments that are made, from here and there and the hypocrisy that we see on the county board and other, we haven't heard anything from any of our Democratic colleagues in the State House about Mike Madigan, at all. I mean, everybody's just been silent as usual.
Yeah, I know. Like, even too, when Pritzker a few months ago said a GOP super PAC was threatening his family, not one Illinois Republican stood up and said, well, what's super PAC? What's the nature of their threat? Did you contact Illinois State Police? Nobody, even the media, completely ignored it too. And I just think that somebody needs to stand up and hold these politicians accountable.
They do. And then when something happens in DuPage County, I know those board members are very aggressive of calling us out. But we have to be aggressive to call them out like we did this time. And we're going to continue to do that because it is hypocrisy. It's, local press doesn't pick up on this a lot. And so we need to be aggressive. We need to get out there, grassroots, one person at a time, and talk about what we stand for and what they're saying and what they're not doing.
They need to denounce her action or her tweet. That is sickening.
They can do whatever they want. They need to be pressed on it. That's the point, and that's what
Right.
I think you're saying, Jim, and that's good. One other thing that is unhelpful is when DuPage County Republicans do their Mitt Romney impersonation and pander to Marxist organizations like Black Lives Matter, thinking they're doing something important, or somehow that's building
building the community
it's
bridge.
building a bigger tent for the party, and it's doing just the opposite. It's shrinking the tent, actually.
Yeah, and we're working with our candidates to get our message out, and it is a tough time right now. It's unprecedented times, but again, we need to get out there. I've been trying to talk to the Illinois Republican Party to be more aggressive, but we're going to be more aggressive in DuPage to let our residents know why they've lived there, why their parents have lived there, why their grandparents have lived there for centuries. It's not because of Democratic rules, because of what Republicans have done to build that county over centuries.
He is Jim Zay, DuPage County Republican Chairman. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are